Hello, I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Report for Wednesday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have a chance to spread some of God's love at some point today. But there's no love lost between BDS activity groups and banks in Europe. Benjamin Weinthal published an article just this week in the Jerusalem Post regarding the banning of German and other European banks from doing business with entities that engage in BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction, political and economic and PR campaigns against the nation-state of Israel. As well, Minister Gilead Erdan, a German Foreign Strategic Affairs minister, demanded that a German bank close the account, and a particular account that enables anti-Zionist organizations to raise funds to boycott the Jewish state. In a quote from Minister Erdan, "As a Minister of Strategic Affairs, I am leading an international campaign to defend Israel from the BDS movement's hateful attacks against Israel's right to exist. The stance against BDS has been adopted by our close friends in Germany, including the CDU, the Christian Democratic Union, and such municipalities as Berlin, Frankfurt, and Munich. I call on the Bank for Social Economy to join my many German institutions, leaders, citizens who are united to reject the discriminatory and anti-Semitic boycott movement against Israel." The Bank for Social Economy is a German bank that currently operates an account for the anti-Israel group called Jewish Voice for a Just Peace in the Middle East. The closures of the Israeli boycott bank accounts are happening across Europe, and they include Ireland, United Kingdom, and Austria, suggesting a growing consensus that BDS presents a dangerous business for banks and is being recognized universally as anti-Semitic. Becker, the deputy mayor of Frankfurt and the city's treasurer, told the Jerusalem Post just last week that the Bank for Social Economy is totally wrong in accepting the explanation of the Jewish Voice for Just Peace regarding its activity in the BDS movement. In contrast to what this particular NGO claims, the real aim of the anti-Semitic boycott movement is indeed the delegitimization of the State of Israel. Leading representatives and supporters of the BDS movement have often declared their aim is to end the Jewish state completely. Of course, this means that BDS uses not just PR or economic claims and tools to boycott Israel and hurt Israel. They also sometimes use violent ones. They are also trying to intimidate universities, university students and faculty, scientists, companies, artists, and politicians to not cooperate in any field with partners from Israel or consider doing business with them or even tourism. Becker added, for these reasons that I just stated, the Bank for Social Economy should reconsider its wrong evaluation and cease business with the Jewish Voice for Just Peace, as it is indeed supporting anti-Semitic BDS movement activities. Becker also announced that just last week the Frankfurt municipality will not do business with banks that support or do business with BDS groups within their city limits. It is unclear right now if this particular bank has any branches or conducts business with Frankfurt entities and businesses. Stephanie Ruth, a spokesman for the bank, was contacted, but she declined to make a response. She did tell the Post nearly a year ago that the reason why the bank reopened the account of this German group called the Jewish Voice was because they intensively dealt with the topic of the support for the Jewish campaign, and the bank wrote that the Jewish Voice said that the group's support of BDS is free from violence and not really against the existence of Israel. Well, that's sort of a unique explanation. The bank initially closed the account of the Jewish Voice a whole year prior because it failed to meet their due diligence regarding the bank's ethical standards, and they recognized that the site was stoking anti-Semitism because of the own postings that the organization had on their website. This Cologne-based bank said the decisive reason for the closure was because the Jewish Voice supports the campaign Boycott, Divest, Sanction and has the goal of destabilizing the state of Israel. Then a year later, they come back and say, well, they reopened it because they claimed that they're just using nonviolent methods and really aren't against its existence. So clearly there's some cross-communication, and the original assessment of the organization was correct, and I have no idea why they reversed it and see it as less dangerous. Frankfurt is the first German city to sanction banks and financial institutions for providing services to BDS campaign organizations. The Frankfurt decision to penalize financial entities could have far-reaching implications for lots of organizations around Germany and even in the rest of Europe. Becker said that the BDS movement uses with its messages the same language in which the National Socialists formally expressed themselves. These were the Nazis. Don't buy from Jews. Becker added that BDS is deeply anti-Semitic and should have no place in our city. The Jewish Voice for Just Peace in Israel wrote that it was among the banned list of organizations of their sister organization in America. They've decided to come to their defense. However, the Jewish Voice for Peace hosted convicted Palestinian terrorist Rasmana Oda in an event just last April, and then put on their website they were honored to hear from her. So this, to me, delegitimizes that effort to whitewash these organizations. In 2016, a French-owned bank organization in Munich terminated its account for BDS campaign, and the Israeli government barred that same German BDS campaign from entering its nation for visits or doing business. The Frankfurt-based bank called Commerzbank, Germany's second largest bank, also shut down the accounts of a BDS website in 2016. Frankfurt also issued an executive order just last year banning the use of city rooms and property and all financial support for organizations engaged in BDS activity. So this is all good news from clear-thinking politicians in Germany, and it is spreading through other parts of Europe. This, of course, is coming on the heels of a lot of anti-Semitism that is rearing its ugly head at the community levels. I will talk about that in future weeks. Shavua Tov.